Thinking about getting started with a short-term rental investment property in the city of Milwaukee? Well, if you answered yes, then you've arrived to the right video. I'm going to show you exactly how to legally get that set up in this video. So, welcome to the channel. My name is Lor Vang. I am a local realtor, investor, and a loan officer in the greater Milwaukee area market. I'm with the MoveSmart community, where I teach consumers not only how to buy and sell properties, also how to invest. And so in this video, it's more of an investing video. And so let's get started with how to get started with your own short-term rental in the city of Milwaukee. Okay, so something that might be pretty obvious, but still important is that the rules, the guidelines that I'm going to be talking about in this video are only valid through the time of this recording, which is August 2025. So if you are watching this video far in the future, you definitely want to do your homework, follow the same steps that I'm going to show you exactly how to find those guidelines, and you can double check to make sure that you are up to date on the current guidelines and rules so you can find those resources for yourself. Okay, so to get started with how to find the short-term rental rules in pretty much any city, you can follow this process. First step is to visit your favorite search engine. Simply type in the name of the city and then add short-term rental rules. Now you want to go directly to the city website, the .gov website probably, for the most accurate, up-to-date information, hopefully. And so here we are at the city of Milwaukee's short-term rental page. In the state of Wisconsin, short-term rentals are also known as tourist rooming houses. And so it's regulated by the state of Wisconsin Rule DATCP 72, which requires a license for tourist rooming houses. And the city of Milwaukee's Department of Neighborhood Services is an agent of the state, and they administer and inspect these properties to obtain that license. So basically, you have to do an application with the Milwaukee Department of Neighborhood Services in order to get a license to operate a short-term rental in the city of Milwaukee. So fairly simple process. You just visit these two links here, complete this form and this checklist, and then it says to also provide a submission of a floor plan. And then you can email everything once completed to this email address here, or you can mail it snail mail to the DNS address here. Once they get your application, they will create a record, and then they will contact you with the contact info that you put in the application, how to make a payment, because they're going to want their money first before they send out a city health inspector to come check out your place and make sure that everything is up to par and per their requirements. And if you ever need to terminate your permit license for a tourist rooming house, you just complete this form here. So let's get into the form. What does that look like? How complicated is it? How much does it cost? And so here we are, just your basic name, address stuff, your establishment, right? The info, things like that. This form can be completed by you or the agent that is going to operate it for you or represent it for you. Here's the cost, right? So 2024 is going to cost $121. There is some kind of fee here, 11% fee, $12. And then if they have to come out and re-inspect it again, you're going to be charged $300. So hopefully you passed the first time. Anything else, the permit is valid for 12 months and the license is good for as many as 4 units, I'm assuming, at the same address. So if it's a multifamily property, the license is good for 4 units. Anything over 4, 5 or more, you need a hotel license. All right, so let's take a look at the other checklist that is required. This one is more of business plans of operations. So they're asking you more detailed questions about your operations of your short-term rental, right? So what's the opening date, the number of units, the max capacity of guests, right? How you plan to clean it, smoking, sanitation type questions, security questions, and then you just basically sign right here. And then there's a couple more questions here. Smoke detectors, carbon detectors, waste. Are you providing any meals? And more description of your building, right? And then also at the bottom here, make sure you submit a sketch of every single unit. So that's it. That is pretty simple process. While the city of Milwaukee does require a short-term rental license in order to operate, as you can see, it's not too bad of a process and it's not too costly either. So that's the nice part. It's not too strict compared to many other major cities, even smaller cities that might have more restrictive rules. And so if you're aware of these, you know what I'm talking about. However, be warned that right now there are a number of city aldermen that are getting together to look and review the rules towards short-term rentals, because it is starting to become a more popular thing in the city of Milwaukee. They used to not have even this license requirement. It used to be the Wild West, but now they're looking at other cities, other rules, and trying to see what makes sense, because they don't want it to be the Wild West. They want to have some control, some regulation, right? So that your neighbors do not get too mad at you for disturbing the peace, things like that, right? So hopefully it's not, overkill and not super strict like some other cities. However, I'll keep you posted on what comes out of that, because again, it's just been meetings. Nothing officially has passed yet. So I'll release a future video for you. So in order for you to, stay up to date, hit that subscribe button so that you will see that video when it comes out. Now, pro tip for you also is that while the city of Milwaukee does allow it, make sure that you read the HOA rules, the condo association rules, if you're buying either a condo or a home that is located in a homeowners association. Because as you know, some of those HOAs, right, they can pretty much block you from doing short-term rental or even renting, period. So you are definitely going to want to do your homework before you buy a property to make sure that you can actually operate it as a short-term rental, because you do not want to make that super expensive mistake of buying a property with the intention of doing a short-term rental, but it's not allowed. So don't do that. And then the other thing I want to talk about, right? What does the city health inspection process look like? Well, pretty much a person from the city health department will come out to look at your property, make sure that pretty much you have what you indicated in the checklist, right? So usually the checklist is what you need to follow. Make sure that your property has all those things. So like the fire detector, right? The smoke detector, the carbon monoxide detector, a fire extinguisher, multiple exits, all that stuff in there. Because if they have to come back and reinspect, then there's probably going to be an additional cost to that. Some other things they look at that I kind of found, a little strange, but yeah, it seems like it's legit. But they kind of like show you the proper way they want you to set up the linen, the bed sheets, right? So they like it to be a certain way so as to avoid bed bugs from getting inside the mattress, things like that. So I found that pretty interesting. And then some small things like the bathroom garbage has to have a cover. If you have a dishwasher, you need to have some instructions on how to sanitize the dishes, right? If you don't have a dishwasher, like we don't, then you have to write out instructions on how to properly wash dishes for your guests. So it's a little amusing. But yeah, nothing too crazy. You get through it. And then, of course, it's pretty much every June is when the tourist rooming house license needs to be renewed. So they'll notify you, they'll come out, they'll look at it again, and you pay another fee, and you're good to go again for another year. So nothing too complicated. Okay, so that is pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. As you can tell, not overly complicated to get your short-term rental license in the city of Milwaukee. A lot of the surrounding metro areas, the towns next door, West Dallas, things like that, they are very similar. I own a short-term rental in West Dallas, very similar process. Now, there are some that, they won't allow you to do short-term rentals 7 days or less. I believe Fox Point is one of those. So that's one of those that is right on Lake Michigan. So you definitely want to be careful. Do your due diligence, do your homework, and research each local municipality. Understand those rules and regulations required, and so that you don't fall into any mistakes. So if you like this video, you got some value out of it, hit that like button, help me out here to get it out to the people who need to see it, help that algorithm out. And if you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button so that you can stay alerted when future videos just like this one come out. And so thank you again so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Peace.